All right. Hey guys. So we were given a topic for an Ask HershNoeie video. So here we are. And this time it's actually Ask HershNoeie. So the question was, relationship preferences. Are they bigoted? I see a lot of I only date X ethnicity on dating profiles. Is it okay to choose your possible partner based on something like skin color?
Now I've given my views on it, and I asked. This was in the Discord chat. We have a section there called Deep Combos, and this is where we talk about very deep conversations, obviously. And a lot of times, folks are asking for advice or just kind of curious or whatever. It's a safe space, right? And so this was asked by someone who is a long-term member. And what I like about him is that we can disagree about certain things. There's a certain maturity. I'll get to the. I always do this. The people that watch videos know I get. I don't talk about directly. I tangent. But anyway, so there is a certain type of maturity to where someone can have a different view than you do, and yet you're still respectful, right? There was one time when he thought I was being disrespectful to him, but I wasn't. I was just, speaking like frankly, because I feel like, hey, he could speak frank to me in a way. I could speak frank to him as long as it's respectful, and so be it. So I appreciate him because I like to have people that have different viewpoints. We agree on many things, but there's certain things that we may disagree on. But I have a lot of friends like that too, because I don't want people that are just yes people. You know what I mean? Like I don't really want that. Or they think just exactly the way that I do. You can see it there.
Yeah.
Instead of turning your head. But anyhow, go ahead with your view as to what you think while I read his response.
I started, telling Herschel about, I said, well, I can share my experience, but I think I've shared my experience before, in that when I was dating many moons ago, I didn't necessarily, and I don't, okay. I don't know how dating apps work nowadays. I know a lot of them are like swipey kind of stuff. So I don't know how in-depth the profiles ask you to get, or what you're able to list on your profiles or whatnot. But when I met Herschel, I was on eHarmony. And eHarmony, it was so extensive that they would only send through matches that matched how you wanted questions answered, essentially. Like, you kind of gave your deal breakers. Do you want a person like this? Do you want a person like that? How do you want them to answer the questions? So they calculated everything and only sent matches through that seemed to be likely matches for you. So it wasn't just willy-nilly like Match.com was. Match.com was, you could search any parameters. Sorry, I scratched you. You could search any parameters or anything like that, and people could find you. Whereas eHarmony, it was very strategic and almost exclusive, I guess. So again, I don't know how dating apps are now. I don't know. I know that when I was putting the information out there, I didn't list necessarily who, like, I was only interested in dating Black guys or Asian guys or Latino guys or anything like that. For me, my thing going on in my own life at that time was my own identity development. And so for me, it was really important to not date anybody white, because my ex relationship had been a white guy. I had grown up in kind of a white world, right? My family was white. Everything I knew was white. But I was starting to come to terms with who I am, who I was as a person of color, and learning to understand that. And so it was really important for me to find somebody. It didn't really matter what ethnicity, what race, as long as they weren't white. And that may sound bad to some of you, but for me, that was really important because I needed somebody who could relate to experiences that I had gone through or might go through, as another person of color, as somebody who has been marginalized in our society, not somebody who is just going to be like, oh, explain things away and really invalidate my experiences and my feelings. Not saying that always happened, but it did a lot. And so that was really important to me. but I never put that out there on my profile of anybody who knows me now knows definitely, like, anybody that I find attractive, it's usually a black dude, a bald black dude. But I find other guys attractive, but I just wouldn't necessarily put that out there that I will only date black guys or I will only date X guys. I think it's up to you what you want on your profile, but I think you have to you have to reconcile the fact that how are people going to perceive you if you have that on your profile. But also, I would say, we don't always know the context where people are coming from, right? So Herschel came up with the example of somebody who has grown up in, let's say, the Bay Area, San Francisco. It's a very heavy Asian population. So maybe there's a guy, maybe he's a white guy, or a black guy, and he has only been around Asian communities, and that's all he's known. So that's what he's comfortable with dating. So if he were to put on his profile that he's only interested in dating Asian women, how is that going to look? How is that going to come across, right? We don't know the backstory. We don't know the context of him. And knowing that this is his experience, this is what he's comfortable with. Other people may look at that and see like, oh, this guy's got yellow fever, right? Because we automatically jump to yellow fever, jungle fever if you're only into dating black people, and I don't know what else, what other kind of fevers there are. I can't say that. The C word.
Oh yeah.
What's going on right now? No, but so again, that's something we don't know the context of somebody. So for us, for I guess for the outward society to automatically pin a label on somebody who does list their preference is wrong on our side, right? It's wrong on society's side. But I think that knowing that that's what you are going up against, you want to be cautious. Herschel, well, you can share your thoughts, but I mean, part of it is, yeah, you want to be honest, but also, are you limiting yourself? If you're only saying, I only date Asian people, well, what if it's somebody like yourself who has grown up in an Asian rich community? And I mean, replace Asian with any other ethnicity or race. But somebody who has grown up in that and is versed in culture and traditions or knowledge or whatever, you may be passing yourself up for that person just because their sole identity is not that race or ethnicity. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
To me, I think that, and the person, I almost said their name. I don't think they care, but they also responded back right while we were talking about this, and they said that, a lot of times when people of the same race want to date only someone of their same race, it's because they want someone like their father or like their mother, I guess. Mm. So I get it.
Sorry.
So my thing is that because there's this huge discussion going online just a few days ago where there was a guy who asked me before that he wanted someone who was Asian. It was a black dude. He wanted someone who was Asian. He kept talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's lives here now, right? Which, whatever. But he then a few days later, maybe a week or so later, he posts that all you see in this region or in the Seattle area is mixed couples or interracial couples. And he was asking, does anybody else feel the same way? And so I was like, huh? But first I let the conversation go back and forth. And of course, you're going to have some people out there that like to police what other people do. That's just what they do. Mm-hmm. And so finally I said to him, weren't you the same person? Because he was agreeing with some of the people saying that, somebody was saying that, if black people date out, that there's not going to be any more black kids. And then they were saying that, sometimes we like to see there was another black lady saying, love should be love. It shouldn't be about whatever, whatever. And then someone said, well, we're not saying that, you shouldn't. This other person said, we just like to see black couples. And he's like, yeah, right. And so I said, weren't you the same person asking me to set you up with someone who's Asian and that you have a thing for Asian girls and blah, 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 blah.
You called him out.
I mean, honestly, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was someone who a long time ago was moving here, and she, on her Instagram, was talking about black love and this, that, and the other. And she had followed our channel because I give a lot of information about Tacoma and Seattle and that type of thing. So she had followed us for a bit, and she, at the end of everything said thank you after finding a place. But she never was critical or judgmental or anything like that, right? To me, that's totally cool. I don't expect for people to like everything that I do, and I'm not going to like what everybody else does. But whenever you say that this is something that you're looking for, and then you kind of go and say, well, I don't see why there's so many couples here, and somebody else says, we want to see black couples. To me, that's just doublespeak. And I think that that's when you're fetishizing, because people say, well, aren't you just fetishizing if you only date such and such? I think in that instance, that is when you fetishize Asian women, for example, in that case. Because you're not really interested in a long-term relationship, it seems. You're just interested in maybe some fun, right? So to me, that's a fetish. It's different whenever you have someone who, because I know some Asian girls who were interested in mostly black dudes, afraid to say it because society judges you. Because maybe when they were growing up, and these are people who are from another country, they were growing up and that's kind of what they saw on TV, or they've always been curious. It's not like they grew up in an area where there was a lot of black folks. That's just what they were drawn to for whatever reason. I don't see that as a problem. It's just like some people have they like redheads, or they like blondes, or they like a brunette, or they like
long
someone
legs,
tall,
or
someone short, someone fat. To me, or the problem is that people say when, for example, when black men date out, they're dating someone else because, mainly when it's someone who's white, because she's easy. If it's someone who's Asian, because she's going to be meek and meager and and all that. If it's Hispanic, it's because they want someone who is passionate and exotic. But we never talk about it when there's black dudes talking about they like a girl with a big booty, a black chick with a big booty, or big boobs, or that can twerk. That's a fetish. I mean, why is it okay if we're going to go the route of saying that, these people that date out interracially are fetishizing? We fetish each other all the time. White dudes fetish white women all the time. Black dudes fetish black women all the time, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Why is that okay? But it's not okay when you do it when there's other. And the reason why it's not okay, and the reason why people are afraid to say what their preference is, even if it's someone of a different color, is because people, when it comes to race in this country, that is one of those things that people are so insecure about. Mm-hmm. When you say topics like there's not going to be any more black people. Look, my mom was born in 1932. And I did some research. Back in 1932, the number of black people in this country, I can't remember exactly, but we almost doubled that population from this point now, right? Korea has a little over 50 million people. There's almost that many black people in this country. So it's not like the black population is going down because of interracial dating. In fact, most black people, just like most white people, most Asian people, most Hispanic people, date people who are the same thing, right? What bothers people is when they do see it. And people say, well, I don't have a problem with it, but if you didn't have a problem with it, you wouldn't say anything. Right?
It's like the Seinfeld. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Exactly. It's either you're insecure, either you're a little bit of a bigot.
Jealous.
Or you're jealous. I mean, there's somewhere in that area that's what it is. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that there's necessarily a problem dating someone of a different. I think it becomes an issue, though, when you are doing it for a fetish. So you're looking for someone just to, notch Do a check mark off.
Check mark, or that I know we've talked about this before, but like if you happen to watch a certain kind of film and
Adult.
and you see a certain kind of person acting a certain kind of way, and that's what you think it's going to be like, that's where it's a problem.
And let me tell you something. I've dated the whole rainbow. I can tell you that there are white women who won't put up, because they were saying that white women won't put up with anything. That's not true. I dated white chicks who wouldn't put up with anything. As soon as I know some personally, as soon as something who I didn't date, as soon as someone does something that they feel is messed up, they're gone. You know, this whole notion that if you date out, especially if you're a black man, if you date someone else, you're weak because those other women are not as strong. I think that's just bull.
It has nothing to do with
skin
what
color.
they look like. It has everything to do with their personal character.
When someone says, because I never have to say I'm strong, I just show it by examples. When you have to say you're strong, that means that you're technically not. You know, like when you say that you are super intelligent and you keep saying it all the time, maybe you're not.
Like a certain
So
45.
If you have to keep saying something over and over and over again, you're trying to convince people something that you should just be showing. So I never have to say any of those types of things. I know Asian women who are not, I mean, here's one of them. I mean, there's stories. And some of them don't have to do with me. This whole idea, I mean, my ex-wife was from Hong Kong. I mean, she was not someone who was meek and meager. She had a hot temper. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that people don't have any experience in dating other people. And so they just assume. They hate it when people assume on them. So if those same people went overseas and people started assuming things on them, they hate it.
Well, and I think as humans, it's in our nature to categorize things, right? Like we see something and we automatically, it's part of our like genetic code to try to find a relation to something else that we've experienced. And so, oh, okay, I see somebody that presents like this, then that means the next person that I meet is going to present like this. Or I see a show that they're presenting somebody like this, so that means this, you know, and that's where that's where the whole narrative comes from. And it's
or have you noticed, like, you know, if there's a white chick, you see this often from people who are butthurt. They'll say, like, oh, if it's a black dude who's with a white chick, she must be like 400 pounds, or she must be fat, or she must be this or that. And yet, like, there are plenty of white dudes who date women who are fat. You know what I mean? I think it is because people want, it's, again, insecurity.
And they want to try to make themselves feel
better, even though they probably are fat themselves. That's the
or
thing.
It becomes,
what do you look like?
It becomes a jealousy thing. Not so much that they want to be, like, if people are jealous of us, and people have been jealous of us, not necessarily that they want to be with him or that they want to be with me, but that we are out here living our life, right? We're living our life somewhat on display through YouTube or whatever, but like, we're not concerned about what people think of us or people's opinions. Like, we're just living our life, doing our thing. And I think that's where that jealousy comes in of like, I wish I could live my truth, right? Like, we're living our truth. There's nothing that we hide from anybody, and we don't take crap from anybody.
Right.
And that, I think, is where the jealousy comes in of like being so free, right?
And there was a black lady on there saying that, because I said there's plenty of black women I know that allow dudes to walk all over them. It's not because they're saying that white women allow people to walk all over them. I'm like, that's not true. There may be some, but I know plenty of black women who do the exact same thing. And they're not women. They must be girls because blah, blah, blah. And I said, I didn't say anything about black women versus black girls. I said any adult who allows for stupidity to happen and they continue to relish in that. If you're dating someone who's not worth your time, taking advantage of you, doing you dirty, all of that, it's not really a race thing, right? It's a maturity thing. And I said...
and that's being a bad judge of character.
Right. So I said that, you know, obviously black dudes that are about something don't want someone that's like that. And black women don't want someone that's like that. And you can check any other racial group, Asian, white, Hispanic. No one that's really about something is going to want someone who's not really worth their time. It's not, it's like some people think they corner the market on certain things and personality traits or physical traits, and it's just not true. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any sort of sense. And so I was saying to that person, to the person that was saying that they noticed there's a lot of mixed couples, I said, you got to make sure you bring something to the table. I said, a lot of the problem is there are some black dudes who don't do what they're supposed to do. Some of them are running games. Some of them are doing some of the silly stuff, like saying one thing but doing something else, and it makes everybody look bad. And when I say everybody, I'm talking everybody that looks like me, look bad, right? But I don't sit and relish in any of that. I don't go back and forth on all the squabbles. I just go out here and make money. I mean, that's what we do. I don't sit and do that. I mean, we've accomplished quite a bit. This is not a brag session, but we've accomplished quite a bit. And we did that through hard work, right? To find someone who really and truly is a good person overall is already hard enough as it is. Mm-hmm. And if you happen to find someone who is of whatever color or race or whatever, gender, whatever, then good. Because it's already hard as it is. But when you sit here and say, well, they have to be white, or they have to be black, or they have to be this, fine, but you're going to limit yourself. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with people saying I have a preference. There are some people now, and I saw on Twitter where some people are saying, if you got a fetish, so be it. But make sure you tell people, kind of be upfront and honest. So I think personally, I don't see much of an issue about that.
So when it comes to being upfront and honest, so if you watched Love is Blind, there was a couple that he was not upfront and honest before he proposed, and crap hit the fan, right?
Yeah.
Because the poor girl was already in deep, and then the guy let this bomb out that he identifies as bisexual, but that he wants to settle down with a woman. But he never disclosed that in all the time, in the short amount of time that they had been talking about serious things, but he didn't disclose that until she had already accepted the ring. And I know this is a silly reality show and whatnot, but how many other people do that? That you have something that is a core part of you, a core part of your identity, but you hold that and you don't let that out until you've gotten deeper and deeper and deeper, and then that's not fair to the other person.
And that the reason why I bring up, because the one lady that was saying that, it's girls that do that, not black women, is because you don't know when someone's being deceptive. The reason why I said something about the dude that posted that comment was because that's a good example. I let that post go for a little bit before I said something. And there were people who would identify themselves as women and smart, and they probably are. But someone was posting that they didn't know, behind the scenes posting things that were completely different than what they were saying. And there were people falling for it. So my thing is that you don't know until you really and truly make a good, honest evaluation of the person, right? As it is, society is going to be judgmental regardless. I mean, they're going to be judgmental. The way that we are in in many societies, there's going to be a lot of judgment. But if you can find someone who you have preferences for and you make a good fit, then I don't see what the issue is. I don't think it's a problem either on a dating app if someone says this is only who they want to date. You see what I'm saying? Because I think that, for example, if a white chick says she only wants to date black dudes, and I know plenty that say that, and they put it on a profile, if that's all that they want to date, then I think it's up to the black dude when he does go on a date with them to ask the question of why. Why is that? What's the case? What are your... Because some people, again, it's a fetish thing. If it's a fetish thing, that means they're not interested in a long-term relationship. They're not interested in marriage. They're just for fun, right? So if that's the case, then you need to decide. Do you want fun, or do you want to say bye because that's not what you're about? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? I think that you have to be smart and say, okay, this is what you're about. Because I know some Asian chicks that are like that. It's all they want to date. And some people ask that question. Well, then why? And I asked that question to this person. Why is it that you only want to date an Asian chick?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? If the answers are not detailed enough and it's only about what they see when they go onto a certain website and type in, Japanese, or they type in Asian, or they type in whatever, then that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because they think that what they see is reality, and some people think that.
Mm-hmm.
They think what they see on there is reality, and that's just not, it's all fake. But some people really think that that's just how it's going to be. And wake up call. I don't know of any ethnic woman or white chick personally that's just going to let you walk all over them. And maybe that's because of who I choose to surround myself with. And as I told him, because they were saying that there's no good black women in Seattle. And I said, wow, you're making a very
That's a huge
sweeping generalization, because I know plenty of black women who are not like that, who are definitely, but I said, now, again, it depends on where you're looking. If you're looking in the gutter, you're not going to find those women that I'm talking about. Because, yeah, you would find a whole lot of women that are not about anything. But if you're trying to find the business owner, the one that is accomplished, the one that has finished, that's educated about something, yeah, it's going to be a little bit tougher, because you're going to have to bring something to the table.
They're going to have higher standards.
So their standards are higher. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you're not going to find them. And they were saying, you don't see a lot of black couples. I'm like, that's not true. Because if you know the history of Seattle, yeah, the Central District used to be mostly black. Well, not mostly black, but there was a large black population. Gentrification has pushed a lot of those families out. There are still some, but it's pushed them out. We're facing the same thing in Hilltop. Mm-hmm. So people are trying to stop that. So you may not see as many as what people may have saw back in the day, but we've also had a huge influx of people moving here as well. So you're not going to see that. And they say, I see a lot of interracial couples. We're a huge tourist city. So you're going to see a lot of that in Seattle, because people from other places who are in mixed relationships are like, oh, let's go to Seattle, just like everybody else, to visit. And I said, a lot of the black folks who complain about the fact that come here, and they complain about they don't see enough black couples or a lot of black this and that, don't come down to Seattle. Or Tacoma. Tacoma has more black people per capita than any other city in the Pacific Northwest. So that includes Idaho, all of Idaho, all of Washington, all of Oregon. Tacoma does. And I said, those individuals don't come down here. They don't come down here to live. They don't come down here to shop. I'm around black-owned businesses all day, and I don't see a whole lot of people of color walking into those businesses to the degree of what people complain. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I think there's just a lot of times people want to complain just to complain. There were other people on there who were challenging these statements. There's one individual saying that, he's mixed. His mama I guess she was white, didn't know how to take care of his hair until he got older, and there was a black woman who knew how to do it. There are some people who have some self-hate, or they may have grew up, and I don't know about this person, but there are some people who have self-hate. Maybe in school they were picked on. I know a kid that was mixed in school that he was picked on, but he picked on everybody. So it was open season. So they picked on him, and he was a jock, and he thought he was all that. And to this day, even though he was a kid back then, I still don't like the guy. And I haven't seen him in over 20 years, but I'm like, I don't like him. His attitude was an issue. But there are some people who, case in point, our kids have different grades of hair. All three of them have different grades of hair. Zoe's hair is a little bit more similar to mine than Noelle's.
Hers is like a 3C curl pattern.
And so Noelle didn't grow up at all in a black household or around black people or anything. But yet she sought the information out on how to do things. So it's not other mixed couples' fault if your mama didn't go and seek out help, didn't seek out information. I'm not trying to be rude about your mama or disrespectful, but that goes for anybody. I wouldn't even know how to do my own sister's hair. I don't know. I didn't have hair like that. I had some back in the day,
Jerry curl.
I did. But, to be honest with you, I don't. I couldn't even do really Noelle's hair. I can't do anybody's hair. I could shave this off. But if I really and truly needed to, yeah, I can put the girl's hair up in a ponytail. I can comb it out, do whatever. Because I've done it before, prior for them to go to school and things like that. But you can always seek and find information. You can always go and do that. In terms of her family, she didn't even know how modern Korea was, because She
All
thought
the books I had were from 1950.
she had
and
books
they were in
from
black and white.
She had books from right after the Korean War. So
I thought everything was dirt villages.
So then, when up until the point that her and I were together, she's like, "Whoa, that's Korean." I'm like, "Yeah." Like she didn't realize.
Thought everybody was walking around in the rice paddies.
But see, that's my point. It's like if your family does not educate you, you can be in a black household, and if they don't educate you about the history of the black struggle, then you can't expect the kids to understand that. And that goes for any household, whether it's a Filipino family, an Asian, well, they are Asian, but Korean family, white family, whatever. If your family does not educate you or seek information about your history, then of course you're not going to know what to do. They're not going to know what to do. They're not going to know. So that's not the fault, or that should not be a premise for people to say, well, I'm not going to date interracially because probably if it's a white chick, she can't do nothing. She ain't going to know how to. If she's about something, again, and again, I'm not talking negative about your mama because I don't know them. But if they're about something, they're going to go and say, look, I want to make sure that my kid is doing good. I know a lot of people who are a white couple who have adopted children who are black. Now, I have my opinions about that. But some of them will actually seek help in terms of bringing in culture and how to do hair and different things. So, at least they're trying.
You see what I'm saying? You can do.
That's all you can do. So that's kind of my take on it. Because I was reading that thing and I'm like, this is just a bunch of... Basically, there's some folks that just are uncomfortable. Let's just face it. There's folks that are uncomfortable and hypocritical. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of hypocrites who will talk about, well, if black dudes date out, that's wrong. But if a black chick dates out, that's okay.
Well, because there are no good black dudes. Right. They're all like...
Or vice versa. I know some black dudes say, if a black chick dates out, then she's just, ugh. But if a black dude, that's okay. I think anyone who's an adult, or really anybody, can date whoever they choose to date.
Except our daughters. We have to approve.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me personally, I think that it should not be where you have to just, and I've said it before, you come out your mama looking one way, you look at your mama, you look at your daddy, and then you're like, okay, that's what I'm going to go for. It shouldn't just have to only be that way. You know what I mean? That's just, that's the only thing you got.
All right, so long story short. Down a long path. Yeah, I know, and we're already at 32 minutes. Long story short, if you want to put your preference, go for it. But be prepared to have it challenged. Also, understand that you may be limiting yourself from finding your perfect match who isn't necessarily fitting into that one keyhole, right? So, post at your discretion or profile at your discretion, and just be prepared that you A, could be missing out, or B, be challenged on that.
But you're going to face challenges anyway.
Right. So.
That's why we don't do videos together. You see that time?
Why? Hey, it's not been me. It's been you.
First 30 minutes.
This is like the first video that they're going to see of us that's like happened in a long time.
I know.
So for those of you that don't watch my live streams, I do still exist. I'm still here. I just never do videos much really anymore. I prefer live streams. I like the interaction. I keep waiting for like chats to pop up. But that's not happening now. It's
too distracting for me because then I want to read it and then I have to get back on topic. I'm already, as it is, I go off on tangents. So, but anyhow, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Join our discussion on Discord because we post a lot of stuff there. You can post stuff too. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time.
Bye, guys.
I will see you. Take care. Yours is